Couple things I want to say before we introduce our speaker today. Is that with it being the end of the year, it's always a good time to reflect on your successes, stop and think about how the year went and identify the big wins you have, progress towards goals and recognize them. And I want to start and model that and recognize the success here for 2022. Can I get Sarah to stand, and Shane, and Ashley, and Christina Foley, and Brandy, and Kim? If I missed anyone. Y'all stay standing for just a minute. About a year and a half ago, I was laying in bed one night and I was like, oh, I had this idea come to me of, we've got this amazing system with 11 universities and 8 state agencies and all these women that have succeeded in their careers. What if they come talk to us? What if we try something new out, bring these folks in, not pay them to come speak, but have them come share their successes, the challenges, and really be transparent with us and create an opportunity for us to gather, collaborate, and build relationships. I didn't do it by myself. We're now on the end of 2022. We had 6 speakers this year. And these ladies that are standing have been pivotal in getting this year up and running, from running the cameras to the Zoom to all of the stuff, the calendaring, the emails. So can we give them a round of applause? The ideas they brought forward are anything I woke up in the middle of the night, they brought it to fruition. So thank y'all. And David, thank you for saying yes when I brought you this idea.
Well, it's a great idea. I thought when you were going to tell your story about waking up in the middle of the night, you sent the text, 'cause that's what she does. You know, I'll just text at 9 o'clock and I'll say, thanks, go back to your family.
That's true. All right, so let's talk about our awesome speaker we have today. She is a fellow TEEPSan. She's the training manager at the Texas Forensic Science Academy here at TEEPS. And upon joining TEEPS, she developed a forensics program model and curriculum that developed into the TFSA, the Texas Forensic Science Academy. She co-authored several of the Academy's training manuals. She assumed programmatic and operational responsibility for the Academy and has served as principal instructor. She has over 28 years of experience within the law enforcement and forensics professions, and more than 23 years of experience as an instructor, specializing in crime scene investigation, crime scene reconstruction, fingerprint processing, bloodstain pattern analysis, and crisis negotiation. During her full-time law enforcement career, Ms. Ramirez served as a patrol deputy, an adjunct instructor, crisis negotiator, commander of a crisis negotiation team, and crime scene investigator. She received a Bachelor of Science from Sam Houston State University and holds a Master Peace Officer license, police instructor certificate, and mental health police officer certification through the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement. She is a court qualified expert in bloodstain pattern analysis, way out of my league. Certified senior crime scene analyst through the International Association for Identification. She's active in the forensics community. She is a member of the International Association of Bloodstain Pattern Analysts and a former regional vice president. As a member of the Texas Division and the International Association for Identification, she has served as a member and chair of various committees as well as the board of directors. She is an author of published forensic articles and co-author of crime scene processing and investigation workbook. She's been at TEEPS since 2008 after serving 14 years with the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office. She's a Regents Fellow Service Award winner for the Texas A&M University System and a Distinguished Service Award winner for TEEPS, and we are very lucky to have her. So thank you, Christine.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, everyone, for coming by to share your lunchtime. Speaking with Brandy the other day, and we were putting some finishing touches on me coming out. And she says, okay. She goes, everybody's going to come for lunch and they're going to bring their own lunch. And I was like, what do you mean they're coming for lunch? I was like, well, at their lunchtime, they're going to come and they're going to sit. And I was like, we get a lunchtime? I was like, no, for real? And she said, well, yeah. And I said, I've been here almost 15 years now. I didn't know we got lunch. So,
Where did John go?
so now I know. So maybe I'll team some of you guys and we'll go to lunch because it's like a new thing. Kidding. So it's really great to see a lot of you are wearing red today. And if you aren't wearing red, in spirit, I'm sure you're wearing red. It's just that some of us don't have those particular colors in our wardrobe. I'm typically not a color person, but this is an official Teeks shirt and it's the only red thing I own. So I'm very happy to wear it today. When my father was a young man, this country was at war. So he enlisted in the military. He went from Texas to Seattle, Washington, and he boarded a ship with 2,000 men. Ship sailed, landed, and he served a tour in Vietnam. He fought in that war. When his tour was over, he boarded another ship to come back to the States. And of the 2,000 men he went over with, less than 500 came back. So the fact that you're all observing this day, whether with red or in your thoughts, is greatly appreciated by a lot of people. So thank you. About almost a year ago today, I was in Lubbock. I was instructing a bloodstain pattern analysis course. We were on a break. Like any good Teekson, out on mission, delivering a course, when you're on break, you check your email. So I checked my email and I had an email from the CFO. And I was like, oh, what's happening now? Can you call me when you get a chance? Thanks. And I was like, oh. I was like, wait, what did I do? I was like, no, I'm a good girl. I didn't do anything. I was like, what's happening? It's not me. It's something else. I don't know what's happening. At this course, for these particular days of training, we were at the sheriff's office firing range, which was in the middle of nowhere, and we were in a metal building. That October, it was cold, and I mean cold. In the metal building, do we get reception? So I emailed her back. When should I call you? She goes, whenever. I was like, now? I was like, that's great. And I'm like, oh. So I grab my phone and I go outside. I'm standing in a field. The wind is blowing. I'm in a pasture. Picture it. There's nothing around. There's a tumbleweed that's blowing. There are those little prairie dogs that are like poking up, but it's too cold. So they're like hopping down. They're poking up and hopping down. I'm like, this is the vision I'm going to remember for the rest of my life when I speak with the CFO. So I call her and she goes, hey, thanks for calling me back. She goes, so I have an idea. Like, okay, so far so good, right? She was like, I have an idea. I'm thinking about getting perhaps some speakers. I want to do this speaker program. And I was wondering if you would be one of the speakers. And I said, oh, you mean you want me to help you find some speakers? Yes, I can do that. And she goes, no, I want you to be one of the speakers. And I'm like, why? I don't know why. But and it's a weakness. When people ask, typically say yes. And it was, from her explanation of it, it sounded like it was a project that she really believed in, wanted to get off the ground. And I'm all about that. I'm all about helping, especially when there's a mission, a goal, or something on somebody's heart. And so thank you for the invitation.
Thank you for saying yes.
I also appreciate the introduction. That was a really nice introduction. I appreciate that. That was words on a paper. But the important stuff The really important stuff, she didn't say because she doesn't know. What wasn't said is that I was born and raised in Southeast Texas. I grew up in a small city called Nederland. Anybody ever hear of it? Woo! Very good, very good. No matter what I do in life, no matter where I go, I will always identify, always, as a Nederland Bulldog. So I visited with Tracy a handful of weeks ago. We spoke a little bit. And I said, oh, do you still want me to do this? She said, yes. I'm like, okay, all right, very good. And I said, I've noticed that people have titles. I said, do I need to come up with a title? She goes, well, you don't have to, but if you have one, that'd be fine. And I said, okay. I said, well, if you asked me today and you said, today, what would the title of your talk be? It would be How to Change a Life. And so I stuck with it. So I'm not exactly sure why you're all here. If it has anything to do with this title on how to change your life, because you think I'm going to somehow teach you a superpower. That's not happening. I'm sorry. It's not. No. So should I give you a few moments to gather your things? I am not going to teach anyone how to change a life. What I am going to do is tell you a story, and I'm going to tell you how my life was changing. Did I tell you I was from Nederland, Texas? Nederland, Texas is the home of the Fighting Nederland Bulldogs, as well as the home of the Golden Pride of the Golden Triangle, the Nederland Military Marching Band. At that time, the city had a population of about 14,000. Our mayor was also the town barber. True story. It was a place where when you parked your car, maybe you locked the car, maybe you didn't. That'd be all right. At night, when you went to bed, if you forgot to lock the front door, oh, hey, next morning, hey, I think somebody forgot to lock the front door. Wasn't a big deal. It was a town where everyone knew everyone, but everyone also knew your business. I lived in an area where my best friend lived up the street. And after school, we would go and ride bikes and we would play. He was brilliant, by the way. One of the most brilliant people I've ever met. In the summer, we would get on our bikes and we would go out and play, and we wouldn't come home until it was dark because, well, you can't see anything anymore. So I guess you got to go home. It was a town where the Nederland Bulldogs had a lifelong rivalry with the Port Neches Indians football teams. Every year to this day, there is a ball game, and it is called Mid-County Madness. There are pep rallies, there are bonfires. In the town, it's a town of Friday night lights. The town shuts down. Literally, stores close. People take off from work and they line the street because the marching band is playing. And we're going to go watch the football game. That was a town I grew up in. If you're not familiar, it's Nederland, Port Neches, Groves, also known as the Golden Triangle. It's not far from Houston, but the area that we're in, that I grew up in, it was a refinery town. It was the main industry there. And so a lot of my family worked at the oil refineries. You knew somebody who worked there. It was just the industry. That is a coffee mug from Texaco, which was one of the refineries. They also call them plants, if you're not familiar with that. But my grandfather worked at the Texaco plant for 40 years. 40 years. He retired. And as long as I can remember, every day he drank coffee out of this mug. When I was young, I would go spend my summers with him and my grandmother. Both my parents worked. So I would spend my summers with him. Every day he walked, took a walk, long walks when you got short legs. Oh, yeah, still long walks. But I would go with him. And it was great because we would walk and we would talk. One day, we were leaving the house and we were walking down the driveway. And he stopped. So I stopped. He turned and he looked at me. He kind of bent down so his face was even with my face. And he said, "Mijita, I want to tell you something. And I need you to hear me." And so he looked at my face and he looked into my eyes. And he said, "You can do anything you want to do. You can do anything you set your mind to do." And then he smiled at me and he patted my cheek twice, left cheek. Always did that. And then we went on our walk. Here's the thing you need to know about my pawpaw. My pawpaw was a good man. He was kind, he was helpful, he was active in his church, he was active in the community, and he would help anyone who needed it. Another thing about my pawpaw is he didn't lie. So that day, on that driveway, when I was 8 years old and my pawpaw told me that, I believed him. I'm in front of you today and I am 50 years old. And I still believe that. I honestly believe with everything I am that there is nothing that I cannot do. I believe that if I set my mind to achieve something, I will do it. It may take me some time, but I'll do it. That day, when I was 8 years old, my pawpaw changed my life. So fast forward. This is Central Junior High. When I was in 7th grade, I had an English teacher. Her name was Ms. Pinnick. Compared to the other teachers at the school, she was relatively young. And looking back, she was maybe in her mid-20s. She had long brown hair. She had green eyes, but unlike any green eyes I'd ever seen, her eyes were almost clear. Like you've seen people with blue eyes and they look like clear pools of water. Hers were green. And she had a smile. When her face was at rest, her face smiled. Never seen anything like it. You could tell she was a happy person. You could tell she just loved English. She loved what she did and she wanted to share it. So this particular English class, so this is like an honors English class, right? So you're always doing projects. You're always reading books and you're always doing some type of project. Well, here comes another book. Here comes another project. Read the book, liked the book. She gives out a sheet of paper and it has a list of projects. So she says, for this book, you can choose one of these projects. If you have an idea for a different project, not on the paper, okay, let's talk about it. So I looked at the options on the paper and I was like, you know what, there is something I want to do. But it wasn't anything on this list. So I knew I needed to talk to her about it. So one day, I decided today's the day. And I'm going to talk to her about it. So I started putting my things away very slowly at the end of class, like very, very slowly. My strategy worked because everyone was gone. It was only me. I was the only one left in the class. She was at her desk and she was doing something with some papers. Her back was towards me. And I said, Miss Pinnock, can I talk to you for a minute? She turns around, got that smile on her face. She says, sure. I said, well, I have an idea for a project, but it's not any of the ones on the sheet. And so I want to talk to you about it. And she goes, okay. And I said, now it's like a little out, it's like a little much, like it's, and I was struggling and she saw it. She knew I had this angst, this struggle, this whatever. And she let me struggle. I was like, if you had like taken a fish out of a fish tank and put it on the table, I'm just flopping. And she's just watching and she's just smiling. And so I said, but I don't know, but maybe I should just do one of the projects on the sheet. Maybe I should just do that. She looked at me and she smiled. She said, take a chance. And I just looked at her and she said, take a chance. And she turned around, she went back to her desk. Don't ask me what the project was because I can't remember. But that day, when she told me that, it is one thing that I have always remembered and that I carry with me. And to this day, when I have professional or personal decisions to make and I am struggling because it's a leap, it's a jump, like I'm about to like freaking fly blind here. I'm about to jump off here. I have no idea what's going to happen. I see Miss Pinnock's face in my head and her saying, take a chance. Because I realize now what she obviously realized was what happens if you do take a chance? It works or it doesn't. So what is worse? Taking a chance and it doesn't work out, or never taking the chance and always wondering if it would have? That day, 7th grade English, Miss Pinnock literally changed my life. So fast forward, I'm in high school, I'm in my senior year, and I had continued along like this pathway because I had these wonderful, brilliant friends, amazing friends. They were just so smart. And so it was like peer pressure. It's peer pressure. I got to keep up. I got to keep up. So one day, I came home, pulled up into the driveway, parked the car, and my dad was out front. He had just finished the lawn and he was finishing on the hedges. So one thing about my dad, he loved to shape the bushes. It was just his thing. He loved to shape the bushes, and he was out shaping bushes. And so I walked over to him and the yard looked great. Now that we're all fast and close friends and we're having lunch together, I'll tell you that one of my favorite smells in the world is freshly mown grass. I love it. So I walked over to him. He saw me coming, stopped his little hedger. And he did something he had never done before. He asked me question about a topic we had never discussed. And he says, so where are you thinking you want to go to college? Well, so now I'm going to hit the pause button real quick. So I'm going to give you a really quick snapshot of me, high school senior year. Yes, I was in these honors classes, blah, blah. Yes, I made good grades. Okay. But I also had this long hair, but I had a braid. I braided it every day and it was longer than the rest of my hair. When I pulled, unbeknownst to my parents, who I hope never see this, unbeknownst to my parents, when I would pull my hair up into a ponytail, the back of my head was shaved. I had double piercings, still do to this day, in my ears, and I wore a different earring in each hole because it represented the things that I was against. And I wore a leather jacket. And I played guitar. Unpause. So where are you thinking you're going to go to college? Okay, so I was thinking I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm thinking I need to find myself. And so what I'm thinking is I want to move to Austin and I can bartend and I can play open mic nights. Are we talking? Are you talking smack on me?
I said, oh, she's my daughter.
I want to meet your daughter.
You guys all left now. We'll start up working.
So he looked at me and he put his header down. And he said, you know what? I can help you. I have found you and you are here. I said, Dad, like Dad. So then he stopped and he looked at me and he said, have I ever asked you for anything? No, sir. I'm going to ask one thing of you. Go to college and get your degree. After you do that, you can go anywhere you want. You can do anything you want. But just do that one thing for me. The man had never asked anything of me. The only thing he ever did was get up and be at work before I woke up. And he came home after I was already home and the sun had gone down. Did everything he could to do what he could for his family. That's what he did. Never asked anything of me until then. I said, okay, all right, we'll do. But I thought, you know what? All right, he asked one thing, let's knock it out. I graduated from high school. The very next week, I started college because I was going to go every single session. I was going to get that degree and get on with life. When I went to college, I met a bunch of new people. I was exposed to a lot of new ideas. All right, it's not so bad. It's not so bad. So then I came up with a new idea. this academic stuff is not so bad. It's all right. It's all right. It's okay. So I decided that I was going to become a professor. Wow. Wow. When I was in my undergrad years, I met a doctoral student. Why? I have no idea. But he knew that I wanted to become a professor, and that's the exact pathway he was on. And he didn't have much longer to go. So he introduced himself to me, and he says, you know, that's quite a goal. If you're going to do that, you need to learn how to research. You need to learn how to write papers so that they become published. And if you want, I'll show you. His name is Mike Vaughn. Mike, that's the Newton Gresham Library. Spent a lot of time there. We spent a lot of time there showing me. Now remember, I just told you how old I was. When I started doing this, we're still on Dewey Decimal System, y'all. We're still on microfiche, y'all. None of this Google, none of this computer stuff where it just spits it all out. No. So after I started picking this up, then Mike went back to his office. I spent a whole lot of time doing this. And I was very lucky because, oh my gosh, I remember the very first paper I ever worked on, 10 revisions. I opened the drawer and I would just keep stacking them because he would redline, just redline. I was like, this is what this is. This is what this is. He just needs entertainment. So he's like just trying to, what's he doing to me? Very first thing that I worked on, and that he just mastered and laid all over. It was published in the Civil Liability Review when I was ending my sophomore year. He introduced me to folks, continued to show me the craft of writing research papers. So the next time it was in a police science encyclopedia. Then the next time it was the British Journal of Criminology. So I was well on my way, right? According to Mike, he said, this is fabulous. This is good. It's gonna look really good. Oh, this is amazing. So I'm getting into my senior year. I'm in the last semester. And I have an option, independent study or internship. So Mike, he's like, oh, no brainer. This is perfect. Independent study. Pick a topic, more research, get another publication. You're going to roll right into the master's program. This is going to be amazing. You know what? Seriously, like one of these days, I'm going to be up in front of a class and someone is going to ask me, what did you do before this? I'm not going to have anything to say. So I think I should do the internship. Do the internship. I'll be around. I'll be in an agency. I'll be around like all the stuff that I'm talking about. And at least I will have had some familiarization, seen it, been in it for a little bit. And he was like, oh, that's a terrible idea. It's horrible. No. We need to do anything. You have to remember, we've been working together for a couple of years and he is my mentor, my first mentor. And I said, well, Mike, and he goes, no, you need to do the independent study. And I said, I really think I need to do the internship and I'm going to do the internship. Bad idea. Go ahead. And I'll see you at the end of the semester. Well, all right. So I moved home, back with mom and dad for the semester. And I interned with a police department that was about 15 minutes from where we lived. It's a good sized agency. And the way that internship worked is I was able to rotate throughout all of the divisions to see how each one of them worked. Met a lot of folks. I met the most amazing people. I'd never met a police officer, ever. We didn't have law enforcement in our family. We never had any law enforcement interactions, right? We just didn't. I didn't know any of them. During that semester, when it was my turn to rotate into CID, which is Criminal Investigations Divisions, where the detectives work, that city experienced the worst crime that had ever happened up to that point in that city. It was a triple murder. Mom and dad were stabbed to death in their home. Was another person in the home at the time stabbed, killed. To this day, it is the bloodiest crime scene I have ever been to. They had carpet with a pretty thick pile. There was so much blood on the carpet that when I got there and walked through, the carpet beneath you made a crunching sound. It sounded like you were walking on cornflakes. I went to that crime scene. I went in that crime scene, and I went to the autopsies and saw the autopsy. Never been to an autopsy before. Went to the autopsies of all of them. Went on the interviews with the detectives. Went through because they were so overwhelmed with everything that was happening. I mean, this is, think about it. I mean, this is back in 1994. It's the hugest thing to happen in this city. Everyone's up in arms. What's happening? Long story short, because I'm sure everybody wants to know what actually happened. He was the oldest son. Oldest son. Killed mom, dad. The other person who was in the house was his friend who was in on it with him, accidentally stabbed, killed. They wanted to go on a robbery spree. They needed money because they wanted to go to the Mall of America. He was caught. How are they all caught? How are they all caught? Traffic. Good job. How'd you know that? You watch these shows. True crime, which is true. It's true. Always get into traffic. So after that, I rotated into patrol. Sitting in the back seat of a patrol car when they went into the pursuit. That was amazing. But I'm sure a memo plus policy came out after that one. You cannot engage in a high-speed pursuit with the intern in the back seat. There were brawls and fights at clubs and just pouring out into the parking lot. They get called, everybody's showing up, lights and sirens jumping out of the car, running in. It was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen in my life. That internship literally changed the trajectory of my entire life. because that is exactly what I wanted to do. We won't talk about the conversation with Dad on that. That's what I wanted to do. We have to go to a police academy. Oof. Okay, what are they doing there? What am I gonna do? Well, good thing I now have some police friends who are gonna tell me exactly what's gonna happen in there. I said, okay, do you run? No, we said, we got a shark. Like, okay, what else? You need to get in shape. You're gonna fight. My nerd self, I'm making notes. I'm making a list because now I have to come up with a plan about what am I gonna do? Okay, what kind of gun do you have? I've never shot a handgun up to that point, ever. I have to get a gun. And I have to learn how to shoot with the gun. And these were all the things that I did before going into the academy. Because why? Because the one thing that was not going to happen is, number one, I didn't want to be unprepared and I didn't want to be embarrassed. I needed to have a grasp on what was happening, and I needed to be at least mental, right? So I did. So I did all those things and try to prepare for that. When I went into the police academy, I was one of 3 females. One of 3. And I'm sure it is not a shocker to you. Of all the cadets in my class, I, yes, was the shortest. So it was a challenging time. It was a challenging time. Learned a lot. And I developed this inner confidence that I hadn't had before. In my instructors, especially my corporal, who was in charge of our cadet class, made sure that I developed an internal confidence so that he was confident that I would be okay out on the street. And I really like telling that story, especially to folks who want to think they may want to go into law enforcement, or even afraid to give that thought any room. I get that all the time, especially from females. It's like, oh, I can't go in the police academy. I can't do that. It's like, what? Well, do you want to do it? Well, maybe. I will do it. But I can't. Trust me. Trust me. Look at me. If I can do it, you can do it. And that I promise you, because it's not about this. That's only a part of it. Which is correct? I think I can do it. I don't think I can do it. Which one is correct? The one that's correct is the one you believe. It's the one you believe. All you have to do is believe you can do it, and you will do it. That's it. Say it simple. Preparation isn't simple. Executing may not be simple, but if you've got the mindset, you can do it. Anything you want. So I got on with the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, started out on patrol. Stayed on patrol for a couple of years. It was amazing. They gave me a car. I just went to the gas pumps and filled it up. Had a uniform. Looked fairly good in uniform back in the day. Amazing. It was. What is most amazing is that when I was young, I was painfully shy, horrifically shy. I didn't talk. I shied away from everything. I shied away from everyone. I just wouldn't speak. Spoke to my family members. That was about it. I was a little clam. I like to watch. I like to observe. People watch. I really didn't talk. But you know what? When you put on a uniform and people call you, you got to talk. You have to talk. And so it was amazing, this transformation. And honestly, personally, I am shy. To this day, I'm shy. I am. Unless I'm on a podium. So I started moving through my time on patrol, and I wanted to start learning some other things. I wanted to take some like criminal investigation classes. I wanted to take some these forensic things that were going on. So I did. Well, they wouldn't send me. That's not my area. If it was anything patrol tactics, patrol rifle, put in for it. Maybe they'll send you. This stuff I knew they weren't going to send me. So that's okay. I took holiday time, I took vacation time, and I self-funded. That's what extra jobs are for, right? We all worked them. We all worked them. I just took my extra job money and I paid tuition to go to class. Then I promoted up into the crime lab. That was a whole different world. Whole different world. It was love. When you speak to people, they will talk about what they do as their job, a career, a profession. Have you ever spoken to someone and they talk about their craft? It's a completely different thing. It's a completely different thing. When it's your craft, you take care of it. You love it, and you grow it. In the crime scene world, in the crime scene work, that's what that was for me. It was a craft. It is a craft. And that is a whole other talk if you want to talk about the life of a crime scene investigator, which we don't have time for today. But invite me back, maybe we'll do a part 2. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No. I'm kidding. So fast forward, it is 2007. I'm off patrol. I am now the senior crime scene investigator for the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office Crime Lab. I am also on special operations. I'm the commander for a crisis negotiations team. How I got to be a crisis negotiator is a completely different story, pretty good story. But again, not today. Teaching at the academy. Every scene I go to is about improving, being better, honing the craft. I'm in my office one day and there's a knock on the door. Well, guess who it is? You won't. It is Kyle McNew. What the? Kyle worked at the same sheriff's office as me. He was there before I got there, worked in the academy for a bit, and then he left. I didn't know what happened to Kyle. That day, Kyle McNew showed up at my door. Was like, hey. So he told me that he was now working at a place called Teeks, which I'd never heard of. I was like, what is that? So he explained it to me. I said, okay, well, good for you, man. It's awesome. Living life, loving life. He's like, oh yeah, oh yeah. I was like, cool. What's up? And he says, okay, so he introduced me to a training coordinator. Now, at this time, ILEPS was called PS&S. Anybody been around that long? Public safety and security. And he says, so this is the training coordinator there. Well, I knew the training coordinator because he used to work at a local PD and he would come over to our lab. They didn't get a lot of scene work, a lot of processing opportunities. So he came in and we kind of trained him up a little bit. Showed him this, showed him that. And so I knew who he was. So I said, okay, so we're thinking we want to build a course. Oh. Well, it's a bloodstain course. You want to build a bloodstain course? He was like, well, we're actually hoping you would build the bloodstain course. I was like, okay. It's like, what does that even mean? I need you to write the course manual. Because, oh, I'm a bloodstain pattern analyst. Sorry, did I leave that out? I'm a bloodstain pattern analyst. Okay. I was like, And I said, so after that happens, and you have a course manual, what are you going to do then? Because somebody's got to teach you. So if you're unaware, there are not very many bloodstain pattern analysts in the world. So it's a very, very narrow field. And we're very, very particular about who offers this instruction. In the field, in the discipline, in the world of BPA. Oh, well. You. And I'm like, Kyle, I got a job. And he was like, no. He was like, hang on. After this conversation, that is how in 2007, I became a wage employee here at Teeks. Fast forward, we're at the very end of 2007. I get a phone call. And it is from this training coordinator that came with Kyle. And he said, hey, how's it going? How you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm good, I'm good. He's like, so I'm really missing the field and I want to go back. I'm leaving. I was like, okay. I was like, well, are you going to be coming back to the lab or, here? Like, we're going to see you? He was like, yeah, maybe. I was like, okay, cool. He said, I'm telling you because there is talk that Teeks wants to have some type of forensics program, like an academy. What? He was like, yeah. And he goes, so I just wanted to let you know. And I was like, so what does that mean? What does that actually mean? And he goes, they're just talking about putting a program together. Somebody needs to do that. He goes, I'm leaving. So whoever is getting my spot is going to do that. I was like, and who do they think should be doing that? Because that's a big deal. A state forensics program would impact our work. It would impact the practitioners of the state. All the people I know would be impacted. So who are we thinking should be doing that? What is happening? Who's on the short list? He goes, nobody. That's why I'm telling you, if you want something to do with it, my spot is going to come open and you could apply. I was very happy and comfortable where I was. I was the go-to. Big scene, call Chris. Complex scene, call Chris. Blood stain, call Chris. Crime scene reconstruction, call Chris. I was very, very happy. I love my work. And those people in the lab, those weren't my coworkers. That's my family. In order to do something like that, I would have to leave. I would have to leave my job. I'd have to leave my crap. I'd have to leave my family. But then I thought about it for a little bit. There's going to be some type of program like that. I feel like I should have something to do with that, because I will make sure that we take care of our discipline and our people. And as soon as I started thinking about that, this white hot streak just ran right down the center of me. I was like, so I opened the mental drawer and I put that in the drawer, and then I was like, who wants to feel what like this white hot streak running down the middle of their body? I don't want to feel that. So then he called me again. He said, hey, I don't know what you're doing. He goes, I don't know what you're thinking, but they're going to post this. So if you're thinking about it, you need to start getting your stuff together to apply. So I opened the drawer and I pulled it out again. I started, all right, okay, self. Stay, because I could do that. What I am doing, I am happy. And I could do this for the rest of my life. In fact, the running joke, true story, running joke. You know, Chris isn't going to retire. They knew they were going to find my body in the chair in my desk. And they said, we're just going to roll you right out. Then they would fight probably over who got my chair. Because you know, long. Then I got that white hot streak again. I thought, what is that? Why is it happening? So I really paid attention. You know what it was? I was afraid. I never done anything like that before. Sure, I teach classes. Sure, I put together some courses to teach at our regional academy. I never built a program, just some state program. I don't know how to do that. I never did that. What if I fail? What if it doesn't work? I was 8 years old, standing on the driveway, and my papa told me, you can do anything that you set your mind to. Okay, so maybe. And then I was back in English class, and Miss Pennick said, take a chance. Just take a chance. And I realized that I was fighting between staying comfortable, trying something I'd never tried before, and taking a chance. So I decided, all right, I will try. So I put in for it. I went for the interview, and it was at Riverside campus. Today, you know it as RELS. It was at Riverside campus. 2007, early 2008. Okay, there's no Siri. There is no iPhone with a map that tells you how to get there. I got lost. I was going to get there in plenty of time. I made sure. And I got lost, and I was going to be late. And I was like, It's a sign. It's a sign. I'm not supposed to do this. Thank you. It's a sign. Now I know. I'm going to go home. I'm going to call them and say, But then I turned off of Leonard Road. I was like, I got to figure out how to get out of here. So I'm driving all of a sudden Riverside with an arrow. So I went into the conference room, our conference room today. That's what it looked like back then. Trained service corps. They told me, have a seat. They'll be in a moment. So I sat in that conference room by myself, and on the wall, there were these placards. These placards said train. And it talked about training. And it said serve, and it talked about serving. And it said respond, and it talked about serving. And it talked about mission. It talked about making a difference. And when I was reading that, I was like, what is this? It's like, who are these people? I believe in them. Everything I read, everything that was on that wall, I want to be a part of it. I want to do this. I want to know who these people are. I want to be a part of it. And so they hired me. And anyone who works at TEAS understands what I'm about to say next. Early mornings, no lunches, long nights, late nights, weekends, holidays. Wasn't going to fail. This was going to happen. This was going to happen, and it was going to impact our discipline, and it was going to be great. It was going to impact our practitioners. The Texas Forensic Science Academy. There are 254 counties in this state, and we have trained people in 244. We have trained people in all 50 states and in 48 countries. And we're not done yet. When we started, it was practitioner driven. I'm a practitioner. It's for my people. So it was for CSIs, and it was CSIs and detectives. And then it just started, the audience, the market just started growing. And we started working with colleges and high schools, educators. Just kept going from there. We went from face to face to then online, and now we have a pretty good suite of both. If it hadn't been for my papa and Ms. Pennick, there would be no Texas Forensic Science Academy. They changed my life, and hopefully what we're doing through this program is changing other people's lives. So as I started moving through the program, I would get all kinds of people to come into class. And for some of them, this is the mental picture I would get, especially for some of the younger ones, the college students. Extinguished. There's not a lot going on there. Not all. Some floating, drifting. I don't know what to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to try this. I had no fire. There's no fire in the belly. About anything. What are you excited about? What's your passion? It's okay. Then the practitioners. I would see practitioners that are like this. But if you're a practitioner and you've been in the job a while, you know what this is. What are you? You're burnt out. overworked, overwhelmed. Typically, we don't tell each other we do a good job. Wow. It's your job. It's your mission. It's the goal. That's why we're here. You need to be told you did a good job. Tell yourself you did a good job. Burnt out. Not feeling it. Still in it, but not feeling it. So I would talk to the students. I would have college students come in. Typically, we would do a round robin. What's your name? What do you want to do? Why are you here? I would hear all kinds of answers. All kinds of answers. I had one particular student. It was early on when we were instructing college students. Her name was Hannah Beckerdike. One of the most brilliant people. I'm not talking student. One of the most brilliant people I've ever met. You ever met anybody and you thought, wow, that's an old soul? She was an old soul. She was in her 20s, early 20s. She was smart, intuitive. She came in and she said, well, I want to be a federal prosecutor. And I'm taking these classes because I think it will help me during case preparation. So I'll understand the reports better and I'll be able to do a better job in court. Amazing. Fabulous. Love it. Who was Hannah Beckerdike? I'll give you a clue as to who Hannah Beckerdike was. She told me, because we would chat, I asked her, so I know what your major is, what's your minor? She goes, well, growing up, I felt I wasn't very good in math. And so I just was never as good as I thought I could be or should be in math. So math is my minor. It's like, what? What is happening? What is happening? Every other person who's not good in math would say, okay, so exactly how much math do I need to take? And is it like real math? Or is there some other type of that's name math, not really math? Okay, that's everybody else in the world. That's not Hannah Beckerdike. But she came through class. She was amazing. She went off. She went into law school, got into law school. One day I'm at my desk. I get a phone call and it's Hannah. And I said, hey, how are you? And she goes, I am great. UT Law School was, started graduating. And she said, you know what? She says, I wanted to tell you something. She said, I applied for several law schools. And I said, yes. And she goes, and I got into the one I want. I said, no doubt, Hannah, I knew you were going to get anywhere you wanted to go. She said, well, I had to turn in their personal essay, interviews, all this stuff that they did. And she said, and I wanted to let you know that, it was tough competition. These people are brilliant. And I said, I'm sure they are. Not as brilliant as you, but okay. And she said, the one thing they told me that set me apart was that I had gone through this technical skill training. And I explained why I did it. And that was one of the things that put me over. And I got in where I wanted to get in. And so it was very valuable and it helped me a lot. And I don't think people call you to tell you what that type of training does for them. And so I wanted to call her, I wanted to tell you. I think she believes that. I think to some degree it's true. She's brilliant. She would have gotten in anyway. But I appreciated that. We kept up with each other over the years. And one day I called her. Cold called her. And we were talking and I said, how's it going? She says, oh, it's good. It's good. Are you living the dream? And she goes, I'm really happy. And I was like, okay. I said, okay, there's something. I hear it in your voice. Well, yes. I interned at a law firm and I met some other people and I really, really like, that's amazing. I said, that's amazing. And she says, well, I didn't want to tell you because I was afraid you would be disappointed. Are you kidding me right now? I said, absolutely not. And I said, are you happy? She goes, I am so happy. And I said, Hannah, I am happy for you. I said, I am happy because you're happy. It doesn't matter to me what you're doing. And she goes, oh my gosh, so thank you so much for saying that. That conversation taught me a lesson. So now every class in which I have students in, like collegiate students, at the end of our time together, I always tell them, I've enjoyed our time together. And I want to let you know something. It does not matter to me if you continue down this pathway. What matters to me is that you find something that you believe in, that you have passion for, and that brings you joy. That is what I want for you. Every single person. I hope that when you wake up in the morning, your first thought is, oh God, I have to go to work. I want you to wake up in the morning and think, what do I get to do? If you find yourself somewhere and you are living Monday through Friday to get to Saturday and Sunday, it is time to assess, because life is way too short and no one is promised tomorrow. Doesn't matter what you do. It matters whether you have passion for what you do. And if there's anything that I can do to help you, I know a lot of people, don't know everybody, but I know a lot of folks. If there's anything that I can do for you, tell me. Tell me where you want to go. Tell me what you want to do. Because I know somebody who knows somebody. And we'll put you together. And I believe that. And I say it all the time. And I will continue to say it until I'm not doing this anymore. What do you see? Okay, hang on a second. Hang on. Keep looking, something's gonna happen. Any minute, any second. Any second. Did it happen? No. Okay, that's okay. That's okay. Let's move on. What do you see? What's this? What's this? Did you all know that was a thermostat? Did you all know? Was there somebody who didn't know? Wait, I'm looking for the, I knew there was gonna be somebody. I knew there was gonna be somebody. So I chose this because I was like, it's an oldie but a goodie. It's an oldie but a goodie. It still works. So I'm gonna choose this. You all want that digital fancy, oh, I can operate it with my phone. No. Now, there's a difference between these two. There's a very big difference. What does a thermometer do? It tells you what's happening in the environment. It adapts to the environment. Whatever the temperature is, high or low, it reacts, it responds, it adjusts. With the thermostat, you set it. You set the standard. Everything else conforms to it. With a thermostat, you create your environment. Yes? Fair? True? That's a true story. This is mindset. is mindset. There's some who have the mindset of thermometer, and there's some who have the mindset of thermostat. We can just toggle just a bit and go from thermometer to thermostat. When you're a thermometer, you see a blank screen. You are waiting for something to happen on the blank screen. It's like, what's happening? Oh, malfunction. Uh-oh, malfunction. That wasn't a malfunction. We were waiting for something to happen so we would react to it. If we can just make a slight shift and be a thermostat, then you realize this whole business, when I said, do you think I'm gonna teach you a superpower? Do you think I'm gonna show you that? I don't have to show you that. I don't have to show you that. You know why? Because every single person has a superpower. Maybe nobody ever told us we had a superpower. Maybe we never realized we had a superpower, but we all have a superpower. Once we realize that we can create our own environment, you have just realized that that is the canvas of your life. You are the author of your story. You are the artist of your life. You don't wait for life to happen and react to it. What do you want? Create it, make it. You have the power. We all have the power. If we're living Monday through Friday, is that the life you made? Is that the life you want? If it's not, rewrite it. Is there something your heart always wanted to do, but you didn't do it? Why? You can do it. It's your story. It's nobody else's. It's yours. And if you know someone who never knew that, if you know someone who just never occurred to them, if you just tell them that, you just change somebody's life. When we realize that, and that switch is turned, I have people all the time. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm drifting. I've done this. I've done that. But I just don't. I don't have. Real quick. What's your skill? What's your talent? What do you like to do? There is not one person who doesn't have some type of talent. Not one. Some people have a lot of them. Everybody has at least one. You identify your talent. Make it your work. Make it your work. Because if your work is what your talent is what you like, that's where the passion comes from. And when you're living your passion, when your work gives you results that matter to you, they're meaningful for you, you just found your purpose. And everybody has one. Everybody has one. Sometimes we don't think we do, but that is not true. That is not true. So there are some folks in here who are thinking, I already know my passion. I have my passion. I'm doing it. I'm living it. This is looking up the side of the mountain. We are Teacsons. We have a mission. We push. We drive. We build. We create. We make a difference. We change lives. True or false? Because of that, there's always a project, there's always a task, there's always a goal. Always. We're trying to get to the top. That's the goal. That's what we have to achieve. We have to get to the top. When that's the mindset, we need to understand the difference between the gap and the gain. Has anybody heard this? The gap and the gain? Anybody? 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 Okay. The gap and the gain. We're going to talk about it real quick. Very simple illustration. This is your starting point, and this is your end point. This is where we are, and this is where we want to be. Perfect. Got marching orders. I know what to do. Accomplish. Get to the end. We assess where we are, and that's where we are. We're not there yet. We're not there. We have a ways to go. Early mornings, no lunches, long nights, holidays, weekends. Still got a ways to go. I'm tired. This is looking forward. Everything that we still have to do. And it feels like that. Like a mountain, you just look, the face of the mountain, you still got to climb. I still got to get that way. I still have to go. I'm tired, I got a deadline, I still have to do this. How am I going to finish this? I am frustrated. Negative talk comes in. When that happens, we're in the gap. We're in the gap, it's negative. It will be harder to meet the goal. It will be harder to achieve the task. Because all we're doing is thinking about how tired we are and how much farther we have to go. If we will turn around and look back, I know we have that much farther to go, but we never think about how far we've actually come. We're not standing still. Look, we move forward. Look what we achieved. Look how far we've actually come. Yeah, we have some to go, but look what we've done. And so some of us, if you already know you're a pace setter, that's a pace setter all day long. How many of you are pace setters? How many of you know you're pace setters? How many? That's you all day long. That's me all day long. And I had to learn this to try to have a healthier perspective. Because here we're in the game. Yeah, I'm going to get there. Yes, I'm going to achieve the goal. Yes, I'm going to complete the task. How do I know that? Look how far I've come. Look what we've already achieved. We're going to do it. May not be on my, because what? We're the most patient people in the world. I know I'm not. Because it didn't happen now. Because it didn't happen 5 minutes ago. Because it didn't happen last year. Negative, negative, negative. So literally, I have to tell myself, Chris, you're in the gap. You're in the gap. You're in the gap. You better get yourself in the game. Get yourself in the game. So all this today, I wanted to share with you. I appreciate you sharing my lunch. Your lunch. I haven't had lunch yet, but that's all right. Are you smacking the game?
I said there's some Chinese food right here.
Oh, I'm gonna get the leftovers. I got the leftover Chinese. No, it's okay. Take that back. You know people in your life. You may work with them, they may be in your family. But there are people, young people and adults. You know what? No one ever told them that they could do anything they set their mind to. No one ever told them that. No one ever looked at them and said, you need to believe in yourself. And you know what? If you don't believe in yourself, I'll believe in you until you do believe in yourself. And then I'll still believe in you. There are people who have never heard those words. But if you have somebody you know, if you have somebody on your team, and you tell them that, if you tell them, hey, you know what? You do a great job. Is this your passion? Is this where you want to be? Because if it is, yeehaw, because you're amazing. But if it isn't, and you have something that you want to do, tell me. Because I will do everything I can to help you get there. It may mean leaving my team, but that's okay. Because I want you to feel your passion. I want you to have joy. And can you imagine if we actually did that? All these people in the world actually lived their passion and had joy every day. What kind of world this would be? And that is all that I have for you guys today. I appreciate you spending time with me.